working for you. This is Wave 3 News Midday.
And thanks for joining us this midday. I'm Lori Lyle. We start with breaking news. You saw first here on Wave 3. Police capture an escaped inmate in Oldham County after he led police on an all-night manhunt after escaping from a hospital. We have team coverage right now with Wave 3's John Bowl and Scott Atkins. John, how was the inmate able to escape custody?
That's the big question I got some answers to, Lori. One of the stranger editions of the Fugitive we've ever seen. An escaped inmate with a loaded .38 in only his boxer shorts and socks in the cold and rain, and he has a history of forcing his way into homes and escape and assaulting police officers. So it led to one of the times of scenes that you don't really see very often. Police officers and troopers right next to a locked down hospital, combing the brush, the woods, everything. That's because you seldom have emergencies like we had this morning. In fact, first time in 25 years something like this has happened at Baptist Hospital Northeast, where they treat a lot of inmates because the prison is here in LaGrange as well. 32-year-old Chris Claxton overpowered a female KSR guard here and got her loaded gun and fled. So how could something like that happen? Baptist Hospital Northeast President Chris Rohde tells me the hospital did everything right, used the special room in ER for the inmates, and had completed treatment. He says the prison guard didn't follow proper procedure. Claxton, in his boxers and socks, wasn't handcuffed, so his hands were free when his legs were being unshackled from the treatment table.
Yeah, everything was done by our staff. The physician had provided care, nursing provided appropriate care, and the patient had been discharged, given the appropriate papers, and during the unshackling process, as I'll call it, the appropriate process wasn't followed, which, as a result, the prisoner was able to get the gun from the officer and flee the building.
Rohde says it could have been a really bad situation, but fortunately nobody was hurt, no shots were fired. He says staff was terrified as Claxton was waving the gun at them as he fled. They locked down the hospital right away for patient and staff safety. A very dangerous situation then unfolds. Escape texts and calls went out to the people who signed up for it in cases of escaped inmates over there at the prison. Police advised people to stay indoors, lock their doors and windows, and the school system urged parents to stay with their kids at the bus stop. 10 hours went by. So how long could a guy in boxer shorts and socks elude police? As I said, 10 hours went by before the capture. Scott Atkins joins us with more on that now. Scott?
Still in his boxer shorts when police caught up with him here on Button Lane, John. We're just outside of LaGrange, and that's when Claxton, according to police, broke into this green pickup truck, busted out the window, and then grabbed a blanket that was between the seats. He then ran over here into this wooded area where he took cover. We're told that he was lying on the ground when police finally found him. How did they find him? You mentioned that text and that alert system that Oldham County has. The owner of Tice Home Furnishings, his name is Wayne Tice, signed up for that text and that phone call alert. He received the phone call that there might be an escaped inmate, so he, in turn, kept on guard when he arrived to this vehicle that was broken into. Kentucky State Police and a LaGrange police officer then arrived on scene once he notified them of his truck broken into. At first he thought it was vandalism, but then he remembered that phone call overnight and he called police. That's when they found him not far away, just a couple hundred yards from this warehouse.
He had his boxers on, but that was all. And they had told me that the blanket that he had taken, that they dropped it over there. So they brought him on in. Did a great job, yeah.
And so they found him not far from this warehouse. Just to give you a lay of the land here, Button Lane is primarily a commercial industrial corridor. A lot of warehouses where there is obvious semis and tractor trailers nearby. When Wayne came to his property, he at first circled the premises to make sure that the building was secure. There wasn't anyone inside of that tractor trailer, but not far in that wooded area is where they found Claxton lying on the ground, still in his boxers and socks. You know, Wayne actually saw police bring him out of the woods. He did not have any resistance. He handed over the weapon to police officers. A LaGrange police officer, the first officer on scene, is the one that took care of the situation, and we're told by LaGrange City Police that he actually made the arrest on his own. Backup eventually arrived, and they were able to get the situation under control. But once again, broke into this truck. The truck's still here. This truck was actually loaned to Wayne Tice, the owner of the furniture company, so he's got some explaining to do to one of his friends. But John, we'll send it back to you at the hospital as we learn more information about this man who was on the run for, well, at least 10 hours.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. Yeah, back here at Baptist Hospital Northeast, the president, Chris Rohde, has a lot of questions, as you might imagine, for the Kentucky State Reformatory. They're debriefing, he said, then he has some questions. Again, proper procedure not followed by the prison guard, he says, not handcuffed up top, and in the unshackling process, down on the legs from the treatment table. As treatment was winding up in the discharge process, with his hands free, he was able to attack the guard, get the gun, and flee. Could have been a disastrous situation, Lori, obviously right here and in the community as he was trying to elude police. Fortunately, we dodged a bullet and none was fired. Back to you, Lori.
Absolutely, and great job out there covering this for us today, John. Cold morning out there to be in your boxer shorts. I guess he had the adrenaline going for sure, though.
He certainly must have, and that was the question we were asking throughout the morning, because we kept waiting to hear a report of him trying to get some clothing somewhere along the line. I mean, it was getting colder and colder as the day was going on, and when that report didn't come in, now it all makes sense when we got to Scott's report there about how they captured him. He had to, job one was finding some warmth, finding a blanket. Yeah. Most interesting thing, I think, is that they found him all the way back, right there, back by the prison.
Yeah, and still a lot more answers to come from the prison today.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John and Scott. Great job again, guys.